Okay, let's try this again. If you were on the previous broadcast, I sincerely apologize, but that's why we love technology because we never can plan for what it's going to do. So I'll start over because I'll probably delete the other video. But first, I want to say welcome back, IL family. That is Inclination Life. Lady Timiel here. Want to tell everyone Happy New Year. Thank you so much for your support. And I pray that this has been helping you. I'm so grateful for those of you who are giving testimonies and giving feedback. Please continue to do so. I love it. Sometimes I share. I don't share your name, but I may share that someone's doing something or a little bit about your testimony. And if you don't mind me sharing your name, say, okay, it's fine to use me. But getting back into our topic tonight, we're talking about being the best you. And so I was talking about the definition of the word be. I know that I'm talking about being, but when we talk about being, it is about, something just existing. And I was given the example of, say, for instance, if I say I laughed. Okay, well, you don't have to ask me, what did you laugh at? What did you this? What did you that? Laugh can stand all by itself. But if I say I told a joke, that told can't stand by itself. So you have to, it's like, well, okay, what did you tell? Whatever, So when we think about being is something that can be, when you be, you just be. You just exist alone. You don't require anything. And we can parallel that to whatever we're doing. I know I've talked about this before, but whatever we're doing, we already have all the tools. We already have everything that we need on the inside of us. And so therefore, I was sharing that one of our subscribers is on a weight loss challenge. And so whatever she needs, whatever endurance she needs, even through the early processes, is already on the inside. So we can pull from that strength. And that doesn't mean that we don't need community, because God, the way that he set this system up, it was so that we would be dependent on one another, so that we could encourage one another, so that we could be one another's strength for someone else. But what that is to say that, in crunch time, whatever you need is already on the inside of you. You just have to tap into that. And so going on, that was the example. It's non-dependent. We have all that we need on the inside of us, and so we just really have to tap in. Secondly, a definition that was given for be, the example that was given was like, God is love. And I thought how ironic, because God is love. We don't look for anything. He just is love. Everything that follows behind him, every action, everything that was done, even as we go through the biblical history and we see through the Bible, even in those things that we look at and we're like, okay, I don't know how that could have been love. But God, everything that God has always and will continue to do has been out of love. His plan from the beginning was from love. His plan to send Jesus Christ to the earth to redeem us, that was out of love. And so in the same sense, we need to learn how to follow our model. And so whatever we are, that means whatever you choose to be, whatever is your platform, whatever, when someone says your name and they think about you and everything that's associated to you, then you need to think about, okay, what is that center? And then everything after that needs to kind of follow after that. So I'll use, for example, me when I was deciding what to just call this initiative, what to call this blog. And I call it an initiative because it's more than a blog. It's more than just writing posts or getting on Facebook Live. It's something that is going to erupt into so many things and it hit so many areas. But as I was prayerfully considering what to choose, when I came up with Inclination Life, I wanted something, I was thinking about positivity. And when you really look at the definition of that word, when you look at that word, incline is what someone is prone to do. It is what you gravitate to naturally. And so I wanted us to be a people that gravitate to positivity naturally. Those things that uplift, those things that encourage, those things when people think about us, they think about, wow, that person is, just so positive. That person I can always feed off of them. And so in the same sense, if we follow our model in God, when that definition said God is love, everything that followed after God was love. Everything that he does is through love. And so whatever platform you choose to be on, if you're going to be a person that want to show love to the nation, everything that you do should line up for that. And that's all about being the best you. And so thirdly, the state of be or being is our reality. We have to get in touch with what truly is our reality. So many of us when I think about social media and I think about all those things. You know, we can be so many different things because we have a whole world of people now that we can talk to, that we can minister to, that we can put up posts, and we can really be anybody that we want to be. And that's why so many people, even when you think about things like online dating and all of that, it's why a lot of people sometimes get caught up in situations with people that they find out that's not really who they are, because we really can turn into or be whoever we want to be. But in being the best us, we need to learn about who we really are. You need to get in touch with who you really are at the core, and that takes time, and it evolves and it changes. But today, who are you? That's the question you need to ask yourself. You know, who am I really? Do I really know who I am? And so in being that, you need to know who you are. Don't mimic anybody. It's nothing wrong with having role models. It's nothing wrong with having peers that even keep you accountable. Is nothing wrong. You know, I was listening to someone give a speech at one time, and they were telling about 3 sets of people that you need in your life. And they were talking about the one that is where you were, where you're going to reach back and pull them to where you are now. Then they were talking about that peer, that one that you can sit down and you can share with and talk with them on your level, and they can understand where you at. But this still needs to be somebody that's going to kind of push you. And then they talked about having that person that is where you want to be, that person that you go to and you talk to them about how did you get there. So in saying that, it's okay to have these people in your life, but don't try to become a carbon copy of them. Be yourself. And so in being yourself, you got to get to know who you are. I always say, if you see something that someone's doing and you like it, okay, get it, grab it, and figure out how can you turn this into you? How can you put you on this? Because no one can be you better than you. Also, don't compromise who you are. And so this is something great for you all who are believers. Do not compromise for whatever it is that you are doing. I don't care. Do not compromise. A lot of us compromise. You can see it. I always say, if you want to see how you're doing, go back, look at your social media posts, see what are you putting out there. Are you consistent in the message that you're putting out there? Are you consistent in the representation that you're putting out there? We're going to talk about that in a later blog or either on something else. But are you consistent? Do not compromise. You know, if you're saying that I am a born again believer, that I am sanctified, that I am fire baptized, filled with the Holy Ghost, and I'm living a life for Jesus, then you need to reflect that. Don't compromise. You know, so many of us are doing that because we want followers, or we want to be well known, or we want everybody to like our picture. And so, you know, everything is all about that. But, you know, let's get more focused on what's on the inside. That's being the best you. What's coming from the inside out. Not all of this external. Take care of it. Look great. Look awesome. I truly believe in looking your absolute best. But when we're dealing with the best of us, then we need to deal with what's internal. Also, let's get consistent. That falls in line with what are you putting out there. It needs to be consistent, and get to the place where you just speak. So when I say that, I'm saying, so if someone says Timiel, you already should know who Timiel. If you know me well enough, then you should know who Timiel is, and not that one person is saying, oh, well, this is what I get when I see her, and then another person is saying, this is what I get when I see her. But can you be consistent across the board? So that means, can you be the same way in church, out of church, at work, with your family, everything else? Now, I know we get a little relaxed in different zones, so I'm not talking about that, but I'm talking about when you are like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. That is not being consistent. So our 4th point tonight is being you is special. And that is something that all of us need to get to, is realizing how special we are. You know, we were created in God's image, and we all are unique, and there's something beautiful and special about each and every one of us. And the reason why this is so important to embrace, because a lot of us get caught up in this thing of, I'm not good enough, or I'm not like that person, or I can't do it like he does it, or how like she does it. But if we stop this comparison game and we just focus on ourselves and being the best us, then we don't have to worry about that. And so then understand that no one can beat you in being you. No one can beat you in that market. You know, I don't care what you do, from singing to dancing to writing, no one can beat you at being you. So you don't have to copy anybody, because you can be the best you. And so make sure that no one knows you better than you. And I thought about it. Have you ever had a person come to you and say, I know you better than you know yourself? That should never, ever be, because you need to know who you are. No one should come to you telling you who you are. And it's nothing wrong with, like, let's just say, for instance, if you're married, if your mate can anticipate your needs because they've been with you and they know what you like and they know what you desire. But when it gets to a point that a person is telling you who you are and you really don't know if that's who you are, then that is an absolute different, because you're special, because you're unique. And so you need to know what you like. And sometimes that changes. And especially for us women, you know, what we liked in our 20s, it changes in our 30s, and it changes in our 40s, and it keeps on changing. It doesn't change that as often for men, but it still does change for them over time. And then also, I talked about no one should know you better. And lastly, we're going to talk about being the best you. And I looked up what that definition of best means. And it says the most excellent, effective, desirable, and I added version onto it. So it's the most excellent, effective, desirable version of yourself. And that word excellent is extremely good, outstanding. It takes effort. It takes effort to be above average. And so you don't want to be average. And when I thought about average, I'm not talking about average in the sense of being an everyday person, but a lot of us are picking a person and we're comparing ourselves to them. The reason why we're trying to get the comparison game out of here is because, in essence, if you're comparing yourself to somebody, number one, you don't know who that person is through and through. You don't know, you're not with anyone 24 hours a day. You don't know, just because someone looks away, doesn't mean that that's actually their lifestyle. And so don't compare, get on your own thing. And that is Alexa in the background talking. And so if you are only your only, let yourself be your only comparison. And if you're ever going to compare to anybody, Jesus set the best example for each and every one of us. If you're ever going to compare, and you definitely need to compare to him, that is your model. All right. So the person we're modeling, I talked about the person we're modeling. Now the word effective is successful in producing a desired or intended results. The thing about being the best you have to be results driven. And so that means this is not about, here I am today and I'm just like this and accept this. No. This is about being results driven, because I always think about us being changed into his image. And so that's an ongoing process. When we're wanting to be the best us, we're always getting better. We're not ever okay with just being, once we arrive at this goal, okay, let's make it to the next, and it's not about being unsatisfied, but it's always pushing yourself to be better, because you can always do something a little better. None of us ace every aspect of our lives. And so the last one is desirable. And I thought, and the definition said attractive, and I added on others will desire it. When you're being the best you become attractive. People are like, okay, what are you doing in your life? I want to be a part of this. And so this is where your testimony comes in. This is where you get to motivate others. This is where if you want to have a ministry where you want to encourage people, make it attractive and genuinely attractive. We don't want no fakeness. We want something that you are truly living out and it exudes from you, because after a while, if you're faking a thing, people will be able to see through it. But if this is really who you are, it becomes attractive. And that's what we want to be attractive. And we don't want to be attractive so that people covet who we are or covet what we have or what. It's not about coveting anything, but it's so that we can motivate others. A lot of people, I always think about this, and because we're in this age where we take a lot of selfies and we love to be in front of the camera. You look at it, oh, she cute, oh, that's fine, oh, that's this, oh, that. But we don't want people coveting things like that. We want them coveting that fruit of the spirit that they see, that they can pick off our lives, that Lord love, that joy, that peace, the ability to be enduring. How do we deal with difficult people? Things like that. What is our tone that we use? How do we handle in our marriages? What does it look like when we're outside and we're dealing with our mates, you know. So all these things, you know, we want to become attractive to people, because the more people we become attracted to, the more we become the best of ourselves, the better we are able to help people, and the better God will be able to utilize us. And so I pray that these points have been great for you on tonight. So I challenge you in 2017 to be the best you. Have a wonderful evening. I pray to talk to each and every one of you next Monday at 9:30 p.m. Good night.